Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing really well and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome back if you're not. I can't believe it's already March when I'm filming this. I feel like January is always so long and depressing because the holiday season is over and we're back to work, back to school, and then February feels so short when in reality it's only 3 days shorter. This year was 2 days. Yeah, today's a very gloomy day, raining here in the UK, typical British weather. But I'm here to talk about a book I've been reading during February. And I've read some interesting books, and I thought it would be nice to share that in my channels and keep a track on my opinions, because I feel like sometimes I forget very quickly about books, and if I have videos about it, it would be more easier for me to remember. So before further ado, if you can just comment like what have you been reading, like what have been your recent favorites, I would really be intrigued because I want to read more of good books this year. But yeah, let me know in the comments. So the first book I read in February was a Dark Academia book, If We Were a Villain by M.L. Rio. I feel like this book is really popular on Booktube, and I've read a few of Dark Academia books. Last year I read especially The Secret History, which is one of the, I would say, classic Dark Academia vibe book by Donna Tartt. And I really wanted to carry on my journey and read If You Were a Villain that is so popular. I was a bit intimidated by it because it's a lot about Shakespeare, and Shakespeare can be very difficult to understand in the original language, so English. So I'll read everything Shakespearean in French because it's way easier for me. Yeah, so that's why I was intimidated by it, but just loved it. So if you don't know what this book is about, it's a typical Dark Academia atmosphere setting. We are in school. I don't know, where is that school? I don't even remember. But we're following those characters. So basically, the beginning of the story, there is that guy called Oliver who's been in prison for 10 years, and the Detective Colburn, who put him in jail, he's retiring. I think he wants to change career, and before retiring, he wants to know what really happened 10 years before with Oliver, because there has been a murder in the school he was studying at uni. And I'm not going to give too much detail, but we're following those characters, this group of students who are studying theater and Shakespeare, and they're doing all these plays, so Macbeth, Julius Caesar, etc. And I think the Shakespeare vibe really added drama to the story, and this is what I really liked with it. The Secret History was good. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars if I remember well. But If We Were a Villain, I gave him 5 stars because I felt like the characters were more likable and more not credible. I know that Dark Academia has for the purpose of it is to picture those really wealthy students and them doing naughty things and to denounce, like, just it's a parody of like the privilege that these students can have in all those really elitist school. But in If We Are a Villain, I don't know, I feel like the drama of the play Shakespeare really added something, another layer, and the character felt like they were lost in the characters they were playing. And I really enjoyed it. I love the ending of this book. I think the last page really blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, I need to do some research about that. So I did some researches, and oh my god, I feel that was brilliant ending. It's an open ending like I like, and yeah, I recommend 5 star. Like, it was all I wanted from this genre, so I recommend highly. Next, in February, I read with my brother this time. So every month we're reading a book, a body read, I would say. And we read Frankenstein in Baghdad by Ahmed Sadawi. And if you don't know yet, I love Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I think it's one of my favorite classics. I read it last year and I think it was brilliant. I think it was, I don't know, so brilliant. Like, and knowing that she wrote it when she was only 18, it's just amazing. I can't believe it. Like, when I read it, it was like a punch in my face. I want to read it again, and I annotated it, and I'm really glad I did that, because now I have tracking of my first read of Frankenstein. So I wanted to read more of retelling of the original story. I think that the original idea of this book was brilliant. Basically, I wish I had that idea. So I give you like the promises. Basically, we're following the story of Adi, who decide to pick up like part of body that's been mutilated by the bombing in Baghdad, and create that creature. So that creature would have like a nose from a person, a leg from another one, an arm from another person, and he will be composed with all these victims from the bombing in Baghdad, because the government can't offer them like a decent place where they can be buried. So we're following his journey during that, and then obviously, like in Mary Shelley Frankenstein, the creature comes to life and has for mission to get revenge of all these victims that his body is composed of. And every time he gets revenge from one person, then the part of his body like dissolved in a way. So then he has, like Hadi has to replace this part of the body to make sure that the creature carry on his mission. And then there is like this all this conversation between the good and the bad, because then he start picking up like part of human bodies that are from criminals, and then the creator doesn't know, if he's doing really like a good thing with this mission, or if he's like also becoming more and more like a criminal. And I think that was a really interesting plot, and I was like, oh my god, that sounds so good. But I think the execution was really bad. Honestly, I think there's so many characters that are useless to the story. I understand why he decided to go in that way, but I felt like we could have stayed centered on the creator and Adi, instead of having all those other characters just to denounce. I know like the original idea was to denounce like the government, the corruption in Baghdad, and like the way like it's very tragic in the end, but I feel like it was useless for me. And the fact that adding all these layers really made me made the reading painful, and it took me ages to read when it's not like a long book. I finished it because it was a buddy read with my brothers, but obviously I don't know if I would have if it was just a book I picked up on my own. So I wouldn't recommend. I gave it 2 stars because the idea is amazing, and I'm so sad about it, so disappointed, but the execution is very poor, and I wouldn't recommend. Like, if one day I could rewrite it, I would love that if I can write. But yeah, wouldn't recommend Frankenstein in Baghdad. Next, for my work book club, we read Float Plan by Trish Dollar. So obviously, February means Valentine's Day, so the theme of this month was a romance. I read a few romances, and it's not my favorite genre because I feel like romances can be very predictable, and when it's too predictable, then I'm bored. And for this one, I was really happy. I think it was a perfect moment after Frankenstein in Baghdad, because the reading of that book was so painful that reading Float Plan just after was so, simple. I didn't have to think too much, and that's why I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. So we're following Anna, basically her fiance just committed suicide, and she basically decided to go on this boat trip, like sailing around the Caribbean islands, to fulfill her fiance dreams to do it, because before he died he bought that boat, and he wanted to take Anna sailing around these islands, so he prepared like an itinerary sorry, and so that she decided to do it anyway, like to honor his memory. So she goes and she started, and then she realized that it's more complicated than she thought of, so she begins her journey on her own, but then she decided to take someone else to help her, and I think, what's his name, Keen, Irish sailman, who is disabled, so he lost a part of his leg, and so he's gonna help her to carry on this journey, because since he lost his leg, like, not a lot of people want to take him on a journey because they think that he's too weak now, where they just worry about him. So he's glad to find someone who will give him a chance to sail again, because it's his passion in life. He loves that. Obviously, at first they like becoming really good friends, and they're sailing out together. We go to all those places, and it's a journey about grieving as well. I like the fact that it was very credible. Anna was she just lost her fiance, and she didn't jump back straight away to King. It went there like progressively, and I loved it. And what I really loved with that book is that the main male character was genuinely a good guy. Usually in like romance books, there is always, he looks like the perfect guy, but actually he has like a really dirty secrets that's gonna be revealed at the end, and then are they gonna make it through? No. I feel like that's so predictable, but Keen was genuinely like a good guy. He never done anything like dirty, and I really like that. And the fact that he's Irish really make me love him more. I love the Irish. I think they genuinely like good laugh, and yeah, Float Plan. I don't have much to say about it. I think it was brilliant, and I think the author wrote 3 books in this series. It's a series. So the second book's gonna be following Anna's sister Rachel, and then the third book of the map is gonna be following Keen's brother Eamon, that we can see. I think he comes at some point in this book, and I really love him. So I added that to my TBR of the map, and I'm gonna keep it for when I want something light to read, because I enjoyed my time with that. So I'm like, why not giving another try to Trish Dollar? I would recommend if you're looking for cute romance. Then next on my list, I read Autoparminism. So I don't know how to translate, like back among men. I don't know. But I read The Absence of a Man by Philippe Besson, and this is the sequel. So I read that last year, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm not going to tell you much about the story of that one, but for the first book, we're following Vincent de l'Étoile, who is from a really rich family in Paris, and then it's during the war, so he's too young to go to war. We follow him on his journey when he's like getting friends with Marcel Proust, who is older than him, obviously, and you have all these letters with Marcel Proust, who is like a very well-known French author. You can read, for example, In the Absence of Swan, which is quite a good book, but it's a very difficult read. In the second half, we can also follow his romance with a soldier who is like in a permission to like stay a few weeks with his mom because she's dying, and yeah, so that's the first book, and it's a very sad ending. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's sad ending. And this is the second book. So Vincent at the I don't know if I can spoil that, but yeah. So he's not talking about Marcel Proust or the other guy, the soldier, but he has a new life, and we're following him in New York, and then he's come back because his mom really wants him to come back to Paris, and we follow that privileged life that he has. The story is a very quick read, honestly. It's like just a little bit more. It's 170 pages, but the writing is amazing. I think Philippe Besson is such a good storyteller, and I think reading it in French, I feel so privileged because I don't know if it would sound the same in English, but so poetic. So just the writing I loved, and I wanted more. Like 170 pages wasn't enough for me, and that's why I gave it 4 stars because the story is simple, but the writing is amazing, and this is why I think it's worth reading Philippe Besson. Would be better in French, obviously, but I guess the English version might be also very beautiful, so I'd recommend if you're interested with French literature. And last but not least, I read Valentino by Natalia Ginsburg. So because we were at the end of the month, I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna read a quick read so I can add it to my reading wrap up for February. And it's a short novella. It's 75 pages, and I'm not the biggest fan of short stories. I feel like I need more to reconnect with characters and a story than 70 pages. But this one I really enjoyed, and I was really surprised because I don't really get attached to character that quickly, and on this one I think the storytelling was so good that it just kept me want to read more, so I read it in one sitting. And so we're following that family in Italy, a mom and a dad, and like I think there is a sister. The sister is the narrator, and then Valentino, who is the brother. And his parents really love him to bits. They're a poor family. The dad is retired teacher, and the mom is giving like piano lessons to kids. So they don't have much money, but they give all they have to Valentino because they have a lot of hope of him becoming a doctor. So he's studying medicine, so he's taking exams, so he needs a lot of equipment, he needs a lot of books and stuff like that. They give all his money to him, and his sister is quite, she wants to become a teacher like her dad, but she's at the second, she's in the background, they don't really care about what she wants. So we're following the story of Valentino being a deception to the siblings, and the parents doesn't really notice that he's a scam basically. And at some point at the beginning, it's like in 2 pages, Valentino received an offer to marry an older widow, and she's rich, basically following that story. And the parents are quite surprised. They think that Valentino wants to marry her just for money, which it might be true, it might be not. I'm not gonna tell you. It's 75 pages. I think it's a brilliant read. I gave it 4 stars again because I wanted a bit more, but I think for a novella, if you're not into novella and you want to read more of them, just give it a try. I think she read others novella, and I really want to pick up more of her work because I think that was a good first aperitif, I would say. But yeah, so that's all I read in February 24. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you read any of these books, and if you have any recommendation, you want me to read any book and then do a review. I think it would be interesting to have that exchange, I would say, of advices in terms of reading. I might do Booktube Newbie tag to introduce myself, because I'm not sure that people really know what are my reading tastes and what I can bring to Booktube. But let me know if that could be interesting for you, and also for the Swifties that are following my channel. Of course, I'm gonna also create some content around torture poets that's coming in April. I'm so excited for it, and hope you enjoy that video. If you enjoyed, please give it a like, and I'll see you for another reading wrap up very soon. Bye!